Hello, welcome to Drivecast. My name is Curtis. I'm an Audi Master Tech, and my goal here today is to help my fellow technicians gain the recognition and pay that they deserve. The mission of this cast is just to give you a rundown of what I do day to day as I drive home. So we're going to start from the beginning and just kind of talk about what I did, what my thoughts are, and maybe even talk about some crazy drivers while we're at it. So this morning, you know, usually get up about 5 o'clock or so. It just depends if I'm not really working out right now, but I like to get to work ahead of schedule. Um, Usually get to work at about 6:30, 6:45. Usually start around 7:30. So I like to get a head start, just get my mind right, get everything going, and really just focus on what I want to do for the day. I'm looking at all my tickets, seeing what parts are on order, checking to see if there's any ASRs, floats that are still pending, just waiting for that work. If I don't have any work, I'm seeing what I can load up for the day, asking for more work. Just usually right now I've been on like a big podcast binge, usually watching podcasts. Listen to music as a tech for 15 years or something like that. I started at UTI, wonderful, sort of not really wonderful place. Good information. They really just teach you like the basics of how every system works. I wouldn't say they're like, hey, Alan, go fix this car or whatever. I mean, they give you cars to work on, but honestly, at the end of the day, they don't really teach you how to fix much, just how each system works. So you did UTI for a while. Started at a quick car and then moved to a Jiffy Lube. After the Jiffy Lube, I really got into Toyota. Did Toyota, became a master Toyota technician for 7 years. Um, then, I actually loved working at Toyota. I mean, the cars never break, but you'd see cars all the way up to like 300,000 or 400,000 miles, and it really was rather impressive. Now that I work at an Audi dealership and cars barely get to 100,000 miles, it's really impressive Toyotas and how they're built. Um, I think that if I ever bought a car, it would be a Toyota, Lexus Toyota. German cars are fantastic. They don't last. They're expensive. So I did Toyota for 7 years. Then came over to Audi. Oh wait, I did NOV for a year. That was horrible. It was honestly really horrible. Worked 12 hours a day, 5, 6, even 7 days a week. We got double pay on the weekends or Sundays, but it wasn't worth being forced to work 12 hours a day. I mean, sometimes I do that now, but it's all by choice. Like a 15-minute break, 3 hours in, a 30-minute break for lunch, and then another 15-minute break, 3 hours before you go home. So it's honestly just a freaking grind, like all a grind. And I was at a stage in my life where I was really just trying to like be with my friends, hang out, meet new people, and like definitely not work 12 hours a day. So I was actually a horrible. Oh, that's bright. That's bright. I was actually a horrible employee, if I had to be honest. If I'm looking back, I was like, man, I have not been that horrible anywhere else but there. Showed up late, can't call in all the time, stuff like that. So after I did NOV, had a buddy at Audi, got me the hookup at Audi. So I started at Audi. It's been 8 years, just a month ago or so. Did Audi. Love Audi. I mean, I thought it was going to be a big challenge because it's completely different than a Toyota. It's not really nice. Not too different. I mean, the bolts and stuff are different. For some reason, Audi likes to put their timing chains on the back of the engine. I mean, it's hard as heck to replace anything when it comes to that, but you take the transmission off or you're climbing over the top of the engine. That's absolutely a disaster. Um, but working at Audi has opened so many new ventures for me. Wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in now if it wasn't for being at Audi and going through the things I went through between NOV, Toyota, and those couple oil change places. I really think that is a help, form me into what I am now and what I'm trying to do. And what I'm trying to do here is help other technicians really just get that competitive advantage. Whether it's in making hours, making more per hour, or just elevating technicians in general, mechanics, technicians, I've always thought technicians was fancier than mechanics. Go into that a little bit later, but I'm just really trying to help people make more money. I mean, we're basically doctors for cars. I know that sounds a little silly, but I think it's important. I mean, cars are one of the most, you know, popular means of transportation these days, and they're getting even more complicated. Electric cars, hybrid cars, even gas or combustion engines. That's truckers are complicated. Diesel engines are, you know, just as complicated. All of it's getting more complicated, and no one wants to pay you, and everyone wants to get paid more. So I'm here. That's my mission here. How can we get you, me, and everyone else fixing cars to make just another couple hours, or make that couple dollars more per flag hour? Um, Back to my comment about technicians and mechanics. I think I've always been kind of indifferent about that because mechanic seems a little, uh, I don't know, it doesn't sound as fancy. I have nothing against mechanic. I think most people who work on cars in like Europe and overseas are called mechanics, Formula One mechanics. I mean, that's one of the most prestigious things you can be as a Formula One mechanic. So I don't even know if it's really that much of a downgrade. It's just what was perceived to me when I started at UTI. They're like, "Oh, you're a technician, not a mechanic. Your technician makes you sound fancier," and I do agree. I think it does make you sound a little fancier. So I've always just referred to myself as a technician, but at the end of the day, we're both fixing cars. You're fixing cars. I'm fixing cars, and we're all trying to make a little bit more, save a little time, make a little bit more money. Because at the end of the day, I think time is significantly more important than your money. It's where you delegate, and if one thing as technicians we know, time is money. How fast can you get a coolant pump done? How fast can you do those brake jobs? How fast can you do an alignment or replace those tires? So I'll let you in on a little secrets. I kind of started at that first. Honestly, didn't even know what the heck to talk about. I'm just blabbing at this point. So if this cast seems a little stiff boardy or like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's honestly because I don't, and I think that's okay. Um, my mornings usually consist after I get to work. I'm checking on my cars, seeing what I'm scheduled for the day. For the day before or the weekend before, the week before, I'm always trying to plan something, like have something in the chamber, whether it's approved work that I know is going to get approved, or even just tickets to look at, like something to do so make sure I'm not sitting around. I hate sitting around. Everyone hates sitting around. Sitting around drives me absolutely freaking crazy. I'm sitting around, got nothing to do. Then you start thinking about, your mind goes places. Oh, maybe I should find another job. What could I be doing here? Oh, I'd really like to stay at home and play Call of Duty. I mean, I love it. I actually prefer Rocket League, but whatever. So I like to keep my mind busy, my hands and my body busy while I'm at work. Otherwise, I'm just like, can I find a new place to work? Even though that's not the best way to think, and I understand that. So I'm all about setting up the day for success. I'm very disciplined when it comes to what I'm doing from the day before. So like it's very strategy based, make sure that I'm making enough hours for myself. So once I've set up the cars, I'm checking my parts, checking my quotes. Either starting on something or I'm getting my next job from my group leader. Um, I've got 2 bays right now, so that's pretty awesome. A lot of people don't have that leisure, if you will. But if I'm working on a car, I'm pulling another car in. Can I send any quotes? Can I do any diagnosis? Can I parts request something? Can I do like an oil change or maintenance or an easy repair while I'm doing a little bit heavier diagnosis or a software update or doing a big job that I can kind of switch back and forth or something like that. Sometimes, I just like to put my earbuds in, listen to a good podcast, listen to some music, really just focus on one job. And sometimes that's okay. That's honestly better for me sometimes where it's just there's no distractions. And I think distractions are one of the biggest things. I mean, the biggest one being what you're on right now is your phone. It's like beating a dead horse, I think, at this point. I, I don't even want to say it, honestly, because it feels like you know it and I know it, but phones being the biggest distraction for us and for anyone, it's like, what can you do to reduce that? And the iPhone has been pretty good about doing like the do not disturb or focus mode. Those have helped me in that, or putting on a podcast with like a YouTube video. And then just for the fact that it kind of takes a little extra work to get out of YouTube and go to Instagram, and then you start scrolling, and before you know it, you've been scrolling for 30 minutes. And you're like, oh man, now I'm way behind, or just even enough behind to where you can't get that job done for the day. So if there's one thing, it's just find a way to don't do your social media while you're working on cars, while you're at work. That's going to be your number one enemy. Even your buddy sitting next to you while he's scrolling Instagram. Talk, oh, look at this funny video. Look at this funny picture. I get it. It is hilarious. Probably not. But your buddy isn't going to flag those hours for you. Your buddy isn't, he doesn't have to hit the same promise times as you. You want to be better than he is at the end of the day. You want to flag more hours than him, and you want to flag more hours than the next guy. And so try to stay off those cell phones. Put on something that keeps you focused, keeps you in the zone. If you need to take a 15-minute break or an hour break or whatever your break is for lunch, I don't know. I don't really take a lunch. Uh, I like to use my time at work to work. I'm here to work. If I want to leave early, or I don't really come in late. I try not to, but if I want to leave early, I'm definitely not taking a lunch. Like, I want to use the time away from home, away from my family, to work and to make money. So I'm eating lunch. Um, I'm eating lunch on my toolbox or on the break room, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. I'm just in there. I try to stay off my butt, because if I'm sitting down eating, I get on my phone, start watching Instagram or whatever I'm watching. I get super complacent. I'm like, oh, definitely not getting anything done today. I'm just sitting there, and like that slows me down so much when I take a long lunch. Long being like 30 minutes. That's long for me. I haven't got the patience of a fly. I I need to stay focused the whole day, and so sometimes that turns into like a 20 or 30 hour day, and I love that. That 20 or 30 hour day, I couldn't ask for anything better than that. So I'm working through my lunch usually. I've hit a huge stride after I eat lunch. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's the food that actually gives me the energy, but I hit a huge work stride after lunch. So I try to eat lunch around pretty strictly around the same time, being like 12 or 1. And just because I know that after I eat lunch, I'm going to be ready to work. So if I eat lunch late, like 2 or 3, I'm going to be ready to work right at this time to ready to go home. And I used to work till like 7 o'clock at night all the time. 7 o'clock at night, come in. I'm coming in early as 5 o'clock, but I'm definitely trying to be a little bit more wise with my time. So I'm coming in just a little bit early, or early, but definitely not staying late. Like, now that I have a family, it's like I can't. That time at home with them is not worth spending too much time at work, because it's just work. You know, no matter how much time you spend there, how much effort you put in, it kind of makes me chuckle. But they can replace you. Hate to say it that way. No matter how high your value is, no matter how high my value is, they're really able to just kind of like, hey, maybe one guy can replace you, maybe two, and that's okay. Um, Listen to a lot of the podcasts are like, make sure you're using your time, spend your time with your family, and I am more and more beginning to agree with that. But so, leaving on time, I think is super important. Setting the next day up for success. When I'm cleaning, by the end of the day, I'm cleaning up my tools. I'm re-putting everything up, no matter how many tools I have out. I'm putting them up. I'm making sure they're clean, because I don't want to have to worry about that tomorrow. I don't want to come in. Let's say I come in right on time. I'm coming in right at 7. I get a big job. Oh, maybe it's a waiter, and then I have to clean my tools, organize my tools. They're already skewed all over, and then I'm spending more time doing that than I am actually getting that car done. One tool that we've started using, and Audi kind of started using it, but I think a lot of the German brands and now just a lot of people in general. One tool that's helped me make, I think, the most amount of hours that I've ever made in my life was doing video multi-point inspections, and it's kind of becoming required from a lot of dealerships. And at first, probably like you're thinking right now, at first, heck no. Do I want to be talking on a video, talking about this job and talking about that car? And no, I didn't. And but I want to make more money. And trust and transparency with the customer is the absolute way to make more money. So if I'm showing the customer their bushings, their leak, their tires, their brakes, you know, whether they need alignment, you can show them tire wear. They're you know, showing that you're doing the oil change, that you're doing the spark plugs, doing their warranty concern. Maybe you have a no problem found, and maybe you want to show them that it works with your phone or your cord, or how to change the settings in their MMI. That really just lets you show them like how to do that, and then there's no, like, it's super foolproof. Like, you just showed them in a video, so like, hey, it works for you in a video. No way it shouldn't work for them. Otherwise, it's like, anyway, it builds trust and transparency with them. And I think I've gotten only good stuff, unless I do a bad video, which is, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I don't do too many bad videos. Like, I always listen to my videos after I do them to make sure no one's cussing in the background, no one's yelling, there's not loud tools. I'm not, you know, if I stumble over my words, I'm trying to correct myself in the moment, or I'll redo the video. And it takes 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, max. I try to keep it around like 2 minutes max, just because you lose customers. You really do. I'm like, they're like losing interest. Like, what am I listening to after 2 minutes? Just like on Instagram. I mean, you watch a YouTube or Instagram, you watch a post, like a video or a short, and it's like you have the attention span of like 30 seconds max. So you want to get all that important information out first. Hit their concern first. Hit all the stuff they're there first, because that's why they're there. They're not there to hear you sell them everything. I mean, that's important too, but it's not why they're there. Unless they're there to say they have a leak or a concern with their like suspension or something. But I just embraced videos. I built scripts. I've built word tracks. I've built all this stuff, and I've started to memorize it and really use it. So all my videos sound the same. I'm talking about, you know, I'm building value in myself, the company I work for, being a master technician, letting that customer know how long I've been working on cars. Just, you know, it makes them feel better when you're like, oh, somebody who's been working on cars for 15 years, working on my Audi, like, oh, that's sweet. Like, they feel good about that. But if you haven't been working on cars for so long, like, maybe don't use that. That's not your strong point. You want to use strong points in your video and be like, okay, I'm a Audi certified technician. Like, if you got to keep it simple, just keep it simple. But give yourself like a cool title. You know, make yourself sound fancy. Like, even if your position isn't technically fancy or your certification isn't fancy, use something that gives you like a fancy title. Okay, let's just change lanes right on top of me. All right. So the videos is one thing. I've made so many more hours. There's like a huge, I think it's like a 20% increase in hours over the last 2 years since I've been doing videos. And there's so many people that are against it. Like, they want, like, oh, I want $2 or $3, like, on top of doing a video. So like, they want every video they want $3. So let's say you work on 50 cars a month. 50 cars, so 60 cars a month. Okay, maybe that's about average or so. $3, 3 times 60 is 180 bucks. And then taxes takes about a third-ish out of that. So at the end of the day, you're making $120, which in the scheme of things is really not that much. Like, I've made thousands of extra dollars just doing videos and getting good at them, embracing them, and trying to connect, you know, using my service writers, using customers' input or feedback, and really just trying to focus on how can I make my video better. I think that's the biggest thing for me. We'll go into a lot more on like my morning routine, some, you know, things that I use throughout the day, how I really focus. I mean, shoot, I might even have a guest on here. I know that's weird. Maybe just driving a big loop or drive around here or there. But at some point, I would like to have a guest. That would be pretty fun, I think. But when I'm doing my videos, I'm always starting with an intro, introducing myself. This is where I work. This is my certification. This is how long I've been doing it. I'm working on let's just use the Q5. I'm working on your Q5 today. I'll be performing this, this, and this. I noticed you had a concern about this or that. Go over that real fast. Then you hit them up at the end for any, you know, quotes or what you find on your multi-point inspection. Write it down though. Like, write it down on a piece of paper. Memorize it. Go over it. Adjust it. Compare it with your fellow technicians. Compare it with your managers. Compare it from what other customers say. I mean, shoot, I'll share some things with you. If you want some feedback on some videos or some scripts, DM me. Send me a message. I'll absolutely help you. I think it's only empowering to help to help you and help the next guy, because it's going to help customers. It's going to build trust, transparency. And I think as mechanics and technicians, we have a bad rap, but we are, oh, they're trying to sell me something I don't need. Like, okay, guy, like, I'm showing you here in your video or with a picture, like, this is your car, this is your leak, this is your suspension bushing, this is your tires. There's no, like, he's trying to sell me something I don't need. Like, there's none of that. They can't, I mean, and if anything, you're CYA, covering your own patootie, because at the end, they can't go to the next shop and be like, oh, well, this shop told me this and this shop told me that, and be like, okay, well, here's the video we just took, and they're either lying to you or unfortunately we're lying to you, and that technician maybe needs a talking to. But I'll go through that. Then closing out with the same outro, telling them checking tire pressures, checking fluids, or I've already done that. I'm reassuring them, and then if your dealership has a car wash, I'm reassuring them. I'm taking it either to the car wash to detail, or even name dropping the service writer, like, hey, I don't know, Bob will be in contact with you to go in a little bit more detail about these items. And when you're going over items in your NPI or your quotes for the customer, you don't have to go into a ton of detail. Save that for the paper, save that for the computer, type it up, or, copy paste some from a Word document. I keep all my common quotes in a Word document. I just copy paste them right over to the computer. Save myself some serious time doing that. I don't want to type that stuff up again. So I do that. Just touch on it, say like, okay, I've noticed you got a oil leak from your oil pan here. Categorize it, give it 1, 2, or 3. Category 3 being the worst. All right, you got a category 3 oil leak dripping down here. You see it dripping. Recommend to replace the gasket, or maybe recommend the pan, depending on what kind of car you're working on. And just save the details really for what they can see on paper or on the computer or their phone. Everything's off people's phones now, so that'll save time in your video, but it'll also help you move on, keep your word track smooth, and keep everything flowing. So I'm going to touch a little bit more on these videos, and I'll probably honestly repeat it several times because it is so important. And my process is always changing. So if my process is changing, I'm going to relay that to you, and let you know what I'm doing differently, because that's usually what's working for me. And if it's working for me, I feel like it has the potential to work for you. So I'm going to leave you guys here with that today. We'll pick up on the next day. I don't even know if it'll be tomorrow. It just kind of depends on the mood I'm in. I'd like to say I could do this every day, but if I'm not in the right headspace to like talk my whole drive home, then maybe that's okay too. So I'm going to leave you guys with this today. And just remember, if you have any questions, please message me or DM me. I'm here to help you, and I want y'all to be just as successful or even more successful. Remember, this is Drivecast. My name is Curtis. Thank you for tuning in.